we started the journey all together. A week or 2 weeks ago, he called me and he said, "Now I understand what should be the goal of life." And he said, "The goal of life, I have to look inside and find the permanent peace and happiness." He has all the luxuries, he's a millionaire, he's doing all the private lessons. So I said, that intense desire in the mind that I have a goal to discover the real self. It may happen in a day, it may not happen even for years. But if it does not happen, the mind will keep looking, running after the world for peace and happiness, where it is not. So I am searching where it is not. So there definitely those people always suffer from anxiety, stress, duality, conflict, insecurity, dissatisfaction, unhappiness. We don't realize that when I'm suffering, I don't recognize and realize and I don't become aware the mind is seeking something unexpected, unwanted from the world. That world is people, place, object, possessions, money, etc. That we don't realize. What we do? What we realize, you are responsible for my suffering. We start blaming, complaining. Couple of weeks ago, that is why I asked you who sends you the SMS or email or messages to get angry or to get upset with someone or even to your honey. Who sends you the message? No one, and still you become. From where it comes? You are not a seeker if you believe that it comes from outside. You are a seeker if you believe it is coming from the mind that is impure, that lives in ignorance. Tell me if it is wrong. That much clarity these masters have. So curiosity, just okay. This weird guy teaches meditation. Let me attend this session. No, it doesn't work. The simple curiosity doesn't work unless that intensity is there in the mind. Why we lack intensity? Now, I'm putting everything logically. So I'm not putting anything with a blind faith. So why we have to ask ourselves, if I want to bring an end to the suffering in my life, I have to ask. I have to find out the cause. That is the way the science works. That is the way, forget about the science. That is the way the machine inside the head, intellect works. There are a lot of issues in science also. There is a one area for fake science also. Have you seen all the articles? Science says if you eat this, it will take care of your health. Science says if you buy my product, it will help you. So we are not going into that fake science. We reason. We put up the right reason. So all our stress, struggle, and the suffering is because of the ignorance, and ignorance is the wrong notion. What is that wrong notion, wrong thinking, wrong feeling, wrong idea? about the world contains peace and happiness, love and wisdom. It doesn't mean that we stop living in the world. Complete ignorance is bliss. We have a proverb, ignorance is bliss. So when do we feel bliss? In deep sleep. You are ignorant of the entire world. You don't even know whether you are the body and the mind. Total, complete ignorance. But we are not conscious of that bliss. We experience that in deep sleep. That is why the transformation of the mind does not take place. So when we turn this complete ignorance into a complete knowledge, complete knowledge is also bliss. That is the journey of Eastern wisdom, moving from ignorance to wisdom. See that complete knowledge is bliss, and complete ignorance is also bliss. My friends. Now we have to answer the question, what do you mean by the complete knowledge of what? Complete knowledge of who am I? If I have a real clarity, if I have a conviction that who am I? By the way, we should also understand there are only two things in the world: matter and consciousness. There are only two things in the world. Another name is objective world and the subjective world. Subjective world is I am. Objective world is the material world. There are only two things. There is not a third one. So if I have a complete knowledge of who am I, and I have a complete knowledge of what exactly is the nature, property, and the function of the world, and how I am related to this world, everything is solved. I like you. I like you, so I keep on thinking. So when my mind does not stop thinking about you, that is known as attachment. I have an emotional dependence. What a kind of an emotion. This young guy told me that, I gave 200% to this girl. I said, who told you to give 200%? That is why you failed, you are frustrated. No, I'm not opposing any man or women. Don't think in the other way. That is emotional dependence. That is a sense of attachment. So he was totally rejected by this girl. The girl's job is to reject. No, no, it's not. Uh, so only two things in the world. When you start looking matter and consciousness, objective reality and the subjective reality, and now let me give another name to this material world. I am not. One factor, what I am, other is what I am not. So if I know the nature, what I am not also includes your honey, your parents, your siblings, your near and dear ones. Remember this. Don't get attached unless you have a real understanding. But it does not mean that, from today you go to your near and dear ones, you are not. I have to understand first deeper inside me that how I should relate to the word which I declare what I am, not and what I am. Our master says that think in very clearly. If my nature, if what I am is of the nature of stress, struggle, and the suffering, then this mind will never try to get out of the suffering. It is my nature. Do you understand this point? You see how our masters put their logic. If my nature, if my property, if my function is stress, struggle, suffering, anxiety, duality, conflict, reaction, I cannot get out of it, and mind will never think about it because it is my nature. Mind, our mind will never think to get out of this because it is not my nature. That is why I want to get out of it. Do you see the point? Do you need any kind of a scientific research for this? It's very clear. It's very clear. So when I recognize by contemplation and thinking that why my mind is always looking in thought, in speech, in action, every moment, it is always looking for peace, happiness, love, and wisdom. Do you ever think that today I will go and meet my honey at my home and I will fight? Nobody's mind thinks about it. It means my nature is not stress, struggle, anxiety, duality, and a conflict. And what is opposite of that? My nature is peace, happiness, love, truth, and wisdom. So if our master says that our true nature is made up of peace, happiness, love, truth, and wisdom, what kind of research studies you need? Even you can put 8-channel EEG into the brain, you cannot find from those wave pattern. The wave does not represent peace and happiness. We have to be very logical. We should not twist and turn using those scientific equipment. So Eastern wisdom believes in a valid argument, valid instrument. So once we come down to that level, that yes, my nature, yes, I'm always seeking peace and happiness. Have you ever thought that today I will go home and I will be in stress? Because it is not my nature. I will love by reaction. It is not my nature. Still, I do it because of ignorance. Complete ignorance. Huh? That is the problem. The master says, remove that ignorance. Remove the ignorance and you are happy. Just start the journey. Be very clear about it. Now the teacher makes you clear how you are listening and learning. But this is an indirect knowledge unless you start thinking the same way. That is the first step of your direct knowledge. Then only you will change. Otherwise, simply listening and learning from this beer guy weeks after weeks, and there is no change, nothing is going to happen. Unless that argument, that logic, that understanding, your mind starts speaking the same language. And that is why we say that first listen and learn, then again listen and learn every day. Close your eyes and then reflect on those arguments, on those logic. Is it true or not? So the more and more you contemplate and reflect, your mind is refined. When the mind is refined, it redefines the purpose of your life, a small anxiety, blame, and complaint will dissolve by itself. Just by contemplation. Try this. Try this week. And then you do the practice that knowledge is real. So we have started the two aspects, what I am and what I am not. But now there are a lot of impurities. I just explain impurities. The cause of the impurities in the mind are wrong notions, and it happens due to the ignorance. What we need to do. You can say it is the first step. I have heavily conditioned my mind by society, culture, cult, dogma, belief, religion, including science. Since birth, my mind has been conditioned by my parents, in the school by the teachers, in the society by the near and dear ones and the friends and the relations. I have to decondition. Unless I decondition, the mind is not going to be ready for this journey. That is why people come and leave. Another guy who was doing 2 sessions every week before the COVID started. So just after the COVID started, I told you that he divorced and his wife is paying almost thousands of dollars, and now he returned. 2 weeks ago he joined me again. Because of me? No. Because of the knowledge. You have contemplated. You have reflected in your head. You want to know. So when we decondition our mind, I can tell you a story you can understand. I told you a music maestro received 2 students. First student, he learned music for a couple of years and he wanted to become a musician like the maestro. The maestro said, I will charge you $200 per hour per session. Then he asked about the second student. Second student said that I don't know anything about the music. Ah, you have a raw mind. I will charge you only $200 for 1 month, 25 sessions. So the student who have already learned asked that this is too much. I know a lot about the music. And you are charging $200 per session, 25 session, it means $5,000. And this guy doesn't know anything. You are only charging $200 for 25 sessions. The master said, I know how much effort I have to put on you to make you unlearn first what you have learned. Then only I can start. So once I'm sure that you have totally unlearned what you have learned means what is the conditioning. Then I will continue. I will also charge the same. And I don't know how long it will take. So what I am, I have a lot of wrong notion because I have been conditioned by the society, parents, culture, dogma, belief, etc. I have to make it totally unlearn, decondition. What is deconditioning? Emptiness of the mind. What is deconditioning? Emptiness of the mind. Nothingness. I have no notion about myself. That makes me ready for it. Let us move further. So once we have done, understand this. So then question comes, how to unlearn? listening and learning. These principles of Eastern wisdom, followed by contemplation and reflection every day, even for 10 minutes. One guy told me, I don't have even 10 minutes, I'm awfully busy. I asked him that, how come you are awfully busy? Can you tell me? And where are you busy? So I am busy in the same world of people, of place, of relations, of possessions. Are you not? Yes. I said, that is the problem. You have a wrong notion about it. So, unless you find the time for your contemplation out of that busyness, as long as you are busy, it means you are totally involved in the material world. For what? For peace and happiness. There is no other reason. Give me any other reason. And you have been busy for so many years, days, weeks, and the months, and still you don't get it. And still you want to remain fully busy, and you don't want to follow this journey. You want an instant answer. It will never happen. It will never happen. So this text which I'm starting, so it has a series of questions. This master lived a couple of 100 years ago when there was no electricity, there was no printing, and then he wrote such a voluminous book. Can you imagine and think? He has written 100 books. Now we have all the facilities, we have the computer. So he asked, what exactly is the goal of life? First question. This week you have to think. What is the goal of life? I'll give you some ideas. Then the second question he asked, what exactly is the common desire of every human being? Third question he asked, we will reflect on all the three questions this week, and then I will make it more clear next week. What is the end of the suffering and permanent happiness? What is that state called? So in the Eastern wisdom, all those masters have given a different expression of that end of suffering, the state in the life which is totally end of suffering, and the state of permanent happiness. It is known as moksha, nirvana, kaivalya, awakening, transformation, realization, realizing that I am pure consciousness, highest state of meditation, mindfulness. There are many names. I answered the third question first. So now go to the second question. What exactly is the common desire of every human being? There's a desire of any human being on this earth, even who is totally illiterate, who does not have an IQ. Does that guy desire to fight, to react, to be angry, to be upset? Or common desire is peace, happiness, love, and wisdom? Just ask yourself. Not only we human beings, but every living species means they have an element of consciousness. So they do not know, they do not have an intellect, and still they have a desire for peace and happiness. I was looking at Discovery Channel, and the scientist was telling me that these lions, they hunt late in the evening or the night because their eyes have a greater sharpness in the night, They kill the people by the morning, they eat, and during the late afternoon, they just keep lying down and they rest during the day. What do you mean by resting? What do you mean by eating? I'm hungry, I have a problem. Now I'm relaxed. Relaxation, lying down, sleeping. I want to be in peace and happiness. Leave aside lion and tigers and look at even the small insect in the human being. Where there is a consciousness, that consciousness attracts the being consciously, unconsciously, habitually, or impulsively towards peace and happiness. Only we human beings have a choice to know, to understand, to deliberate, to reflect on it, to receive the knowledge, to retain the knowledge, to assimilate the knowledge. For what? Who am I? I am the peace, happiness, love. I gave a second brief answer. We will go deeper. In the third question, what is the goal of life? The goal of life is the job, career, marriage. They are the means. They are not the goals. Car is not the goal. Car drives me home. Goal is to reach home and to go to workplace. Are you getting it? Say yes. It's a fact. When the goal becomes the means, when the mean becomes the goal, why? Due to our heavy conditioning in our life from the parents, society, culture, religion, cult, dogma, because of the wrong notion, we will continue to suffer. Do whatever you want to do. I already gave an example a couple of times, so you know that what it is. That is why the richest guy lived loveless life for 27 years. I don't want to name now. He may sue me, so I'm just telling you. And you observe closely Elon Musk, what he is doing. You will find out. The reason is think, contemplate, and reflect over the three questions. What is the goal of life, human life? What is the common desire of every human being? So now you want to fight with me. I recall that you are fighting with me again for the peace and happiness. So what should I do? What should be my response? That is where the Buddha's compassion comes. He doesn't know why he is angry, because he is seeking peace, but by anger, which is not possible, by reaction, which is not possible. So why should I add another anger and a hatred against that guy, or even honey, or in my relationship? That transforms the mind. You cannot practice compassion. Your understanding and the knowledge will take you deeper. Let us close your eyes and close your eyes and position of the body and the eyes are closed. We have an intellect, we can do it. We have an intellect. We can listen. We can listen, learn, receive knowledge. If you want to make your pet sit, you have to make them impulsive by offering them the food. But we, as a human being, can receive the knowledge. So the instruction is just receiving the knowledge. So your body is comfortable, eyes are gently closed. You know, these tips They cannot receive the knowledge. You can ask your pet, I will give you a bite, please close your eyes. They will not do it. They are waiting for the second bite. But that bite in the human mind is the conditioning that we live our life with. Again, I'm making it very easy for you. So we will go for being comfortable. Being comfortable means what? Look at the neck joint. Now see that what happens with eyes closed. I'm saying look at the neck joint. What means what? Pay attention. What it means? Look at the joint, neck joint, with eyes closed. What it means? It means mind's eyes are looking at a neck joint. What it means? Senses are withdrawn from the mind, from the world, and they start living in the mind. Did you understand? From the world and live in the mind. So when these senses are living in the mind, that mind is looking at the joint. No, but why we are doing it? What happens? So moving within, when I say moving within, is in fact rise in awareness. You raise your level of awareness. Just be very clear. Everything is open. What happens? You have heard me. For a seeker, it takes one session. For a non-seeker, it may take millions of sessions. That is why it is priceless. And how I have been giving the step? Look at the neck joint. Now move at the subtler level. Experience the sensation, comfort, and steadiness. Now further move within. You see the space. Space is awareness, and awareness is space. Look at the shoulder joint. Feel the sensation, comfort, and steadiness. Then the space. If I use the word rise in awareness, it will not appeal to the mind until the mind decondition itself. Entire body, you are there, your mind's eye is looking at the body. And if I say the mind's ears are listening, mind's touch is feeling the sensation, comfort, and steadiness. You don't touch your right hand with the left hand to feel the sensation. Make it sure. That is the meaning of you raise your level of awareness. That is the key to the practice in Eastern wisdom. So practice physical exercise and practice in Eastern wisdom, they two are totally different things. So the entire body, sensation, comfort, and steadiness, and space. Now being carefree. Again, you see that is also a being carefree is nothing but raising self-awareness. That is very important. You raise your self-awareness. That is why you experience sensation, comfort, and steadiness. Not because you are doing a practice. As taught to us in modern science. They are two are totally different aspects. Being carefree means what then I gave a simile because to how to experience the rise in awareness, we cannot explain it. So we explain through a symbol, through a metaphor. Mental highway, 3 lanes. Now I'm using the metaphor. The way the 3 lanes in the highway. First lane is unwanted, unwelcome thoughts. So now you are aware whatever the thoughts are coming and going. Good thought, bad thought, high thought, low. Whatever the thought comes, it is unwanted, unwelcome. I did not say you. So how do you recognize it when you are in a lane 2? When you are standing across a road, then only you recognize the traffic is going on. So what is the lane? Lane 2 also belongs to the mind. What is that mind? It is an intellect. We have a power of observation without getting attached. You cannot enter into the in the middle of the highway to see the traffic. The same way the thoughts are coming and going, and the intellect is observing at a distance. This is also rise in awareness. When you rise in awareness, you awaken the power of discernment. Then what happens? The mind jumps to the lane 3. Where is in the lane 3? It is calmness and quietness. You are not at all concerned about the traffic moving on the road because you are standing across, standing separate. So the same mind is able to separate itself. So even the craziest thought comes, obsessive thought comes, you are different from the traffic. Now, see, that entire journey is to rise in awareness until what point? Until you have the highest level of awareness. What is that awareness? Consciousness. It is a pure consciousness. That is my nature. So we do the same. For the same result, we recite the mantra Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha. Let everyone be happy. That is the meaning. Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina. Now I want to rise in awareness by a thought, which is a mantra. But can by repeating the mantra can help me? No, by understanding the meaning and the knowledge. Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina. Let everyone be happy. Everyone be happy. And the mind triggers. No, accept my enemies, accept my near and dear ones who have pushed my life into reaction and anger. You see that? So you recognize, though that is how the mind is reacting due to conditioning. I don't want these conditioning. If I don't recognize what is conditioning, how can I remove it? Now you see the importance of the mantra. Sarve santu niramaya. Sarve santu niramaya. Let everyone be in this state of well-being. So I include all my enemies, friends, near and dear ones, and all the living species. But why I say this? Point of awareness? Because everyone is seeking the same thing. If they follow the wrong path in seeking the state of the well-being, they will do something nasty in their life. What that means, I'm not going to do it. What that means, the mind starts moving with. Knowledge must be there. Sarve bhadrani pashyantu. Let the grace and the blessing of the existence fall upon everyone. Same thing. So I'm using the thought in the form of a mantra to realize to decondition the mind. That is the importance of this mantra. Sarve bhadrani pashyantu ma kaschid dukha bhag bhave. Ma kaschid dukha bhag bhave. Let none suffer from misery in this world. Let none have any kind of stress struggle in this world. Why? That is the goal of life. I'm linking it to the today's talk and understanding. If my goal of life is peace and happiness, is your goal of life is also peace? Yes. You should have a conviction. When you have that conviction, previously the mind was saying my honey is responsible for my stress and suffering. When you have this conviction, your mind drops that idea. That is the wrong notion. What is going to happen? You start living in a beautiful relationship because now your mind is responding. Which mind? The pure mind. How long I have to do it? I have already answered that. So let us move to the another step. Look at the breath. No change in the rate and the rhythm of the breath. When the breath goes in, drop Shantoham. When the breath returns, Shantoham. Shantoham means I am the peace. Can you explain me what the peace looks like? A peace looks like an infinite space. Every time you say Shantoham and you see the horizon. Where is horizon? Where the earth and the sky meets together. Every breath goes in and every breath comes out. You meet the horizon. Why again I'm using a metaphor. I told you, my friend, that is the biggest issue. I cannot say rise in consciousness. Unless our mind is pure, we become a seeker. So am I teaching the false? Yes, in language, but in meaning and essence, no. With every breath going in, without any change, you are dropping Shantoham. With looking at the horizon, what happens? Mind goes deeper. Deeper means here, rise in awareness. What do you mean by rise in awareness? A natural state of detachment and dispassion takes place in the mind. Then what happens? Results into calmness and peace. That is when you share your experience. That is the experience. So the way you make a statement, that helps me to recognize where you stand. So that I personalize and customize the next step. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Bring your awareness on the right hand. You see, I said, bring your awareness on the right hand means what? The moment I name the right hand, you start feeling those tingling and numbness instantly. Means what? Mind lives in higher awareness. Move the mind, become aware of the left hand. Lift your both the palms, place it on your eyes. Open the eyes inside the palms. Know your experiences. We'll bring the hands down. We'll share all those experiences openly with any question that you have. How are you, Sophie?
Hello, Girish. I'm good, but I'm struggling not to fall asleep. I was aware that I was falling asleep and bringing myself out each time.
No issue. No issue. Ignorance is bliss. Ignorance is bliss. But obviously, sometime it happens, and again we say it is because of the mind, heavy conditioning. We may give any other reason. So do it this week and then we will find out. Complete knowledge is also bliss. Complete ignorance is also bliss. That is what I teach. How are you, John?
I'm fine. Well, I experienced total bliss because I fell asleep.
Yeah, complete ignorance is bliss. So when I become totally oblivious of the world outside, then I also become, I have an absence of experience of the body and the mind. I'm using another phrase. So whether I feel the absence of I experience the absence of the body and the mind, or whether I experience the absence of the world, in both the cases, ignorance is there. So I told you ignorance, complete ignorance is bliss. But it does not mean that if we continue to do the practice, we contemplate and reflect. Let us try this week, do the practice, listen to it, contemplate even for a few seconds, followed by the practice. You have 6 days left. How many times you fall into complete ignorance? So that demand, this Eastern wisdom demands that. How are you and yes.
Fine.
I didn't even fall asleep at all. So
Very good.
stayed awake all the time.
That is what,
Yes,
we
very
move.
well and peaceful and quiet.
So now you see that in this case, there is a rise in awareness. So when we do not fall into unconscious, habitual, or impulsive nature, it dictates the mind. It is the mind that pushes me to the sleep. It is the mind that causes the hatred and reaction because of the conditioning. So when that is kept aside, that mind lives in higher awareness. Only the higher awareness transcends the body and the mind. That results into calmness and peace. Other option we all know, complete ignorance. Are you clear about it? We should be very clear, because when you have a clarity, then there is a conviction. And conviction in the intellect about that right knowledge prevents your mind to fall back into ignorance. And that is what you have 6 days to do it. Thank you very much. We will meet again next week.